Greetings, all gallant sailors on YouTube, welcome to Abyssal Recap. Today we will sail our way to France, to witness a 2002 classic thriller action movie, called The Transporter. Spoilers alert. Buckle up and take care. Frank Martin was a former special ops soldier who now has become a highly skilled mercenary residing in southern France. Call sign, The Transporter. He strictly follows 3 rigid rules when transporting. Never change the deal. No names. Never open the package. In Nice, he was hired to transport 3 bank robbers, but they hoisted a 4th man in his car after the robbery. Explaining the extra weight will affect his precisely planned getaway, he refused to drive until the leader killed one of his men. Then Frank sped up to get rid of the police. He crossed the narrow alley to the street and ran into a reverse traffic, making the 3 robbers scream like toddler. With the excellent driving skills, Frank managed to shake off the chasing vigilant. But he was pinned down by more cops at a bridge. After a quick observation, he took the opportunity driving off the bridge and landed on a truck. He then took over a robber's gun and broke the trailer's fixed pole, making a car slid onto the road, colliding with the chasing police. Then he reversed the car and drove sharply towards the railroad tracks and got away. Later, Frank was inevitably questioned by the inspector, but he acted cautiously and never left any traces. The inspector could not find any evidence despite his suspicion. Due to the superb efficiency and unmatchable delivery ratio, Frank got his next package right afterwards. When he went to the trunk to get spare tires, he found out that the new package contains a living human, and he could not help but thinking of his rules. However, he stopped to buy a bottle of water and opened the parcel, in which was a girl named Lai. Frank didn't give her a chance to talk, so he let her drink some water and shut her back, but noise in the trunk distressed him from driving. So he took out a coil of rope, tied one end to Lai's body and the other in his hand to give Lai a minute to pee, but whom ended up running away. Frank soon caught her back to his car. His suspicious parking had attracted the police. He unwillingly beat the cops down to conceal his tracks. Lai surely had brought him trouble. After arriving at the destination, the recipient, Wall, picked up the package and paid his commission, and then asked Frank to deliver a code box. Frank went on to his next delivery. Of course, he didn't forget to buy some water for the 2 policemen in the trunk, but when he was just about to return to the car exploded. The code box was actually a detonation bomb. Wall wanted him dead. Seeing his beloved drive blasted into flames, he furiously rushed back to the walls, kicking down the door, beating the shit out of everyone, but to find Wall's not there. He then came to the garage taking a car with him and left. But Lai was also on the car. On his way, he abandoned the troublemaker Lai on the road, but couldn't bear to go far. So he unwillingly brought her back to his home. Lai was touched by this subtle action. She was curious about Frank. The next morning she made breakfast for Frank and kept flirting him, however Frank stated that he prefers a quiet morning. Then the inspector came asking Frank about his blown car and asked him and Lai to go to the police station by the afternoon. The 2 pretended to be a couple and managed to fool the inspector till he walked off the scene. As they were settled to further discuss, a group of heavily armed mercenary arrived exploding Frank's residence piece by piece. Frank took Lai to the emergency exit. The 2 dived into the water before the house collapsed. To not raise more suspicion from the police, they changed their clothes and headed to the station in the afternoon. Frank continued to lie and said that he and Lai were not at home when the incident happened, and when they returned, the house was nowhere to be found. When the detective had to go out for a while, Lai took the opportunity to find the information of Wall on the police computer. After leaving the police station, Lai thought Frank would revenge, but Frank did not want any more trouble. She told him that there was a container on a boat carrying her family inside. She had to save them. Frank then realizes that Lai had been flirting him for a reason, but his sense of justice drives him to Wall Street's office, where he threatens Wall to tell him the number of the ship. But Wall said Frank was lied by Lai, and as he was talking, Lai's father, Mr. Kwai, entered the office and knocked Frank out. When he woke up, he found himself lying in the police station. The inspector persuaded him to tell the truth so that he could investigate. Frank knew that things would be worse with police's engagement. He pended the inspector to offer him 12 hours to get things settled first. The inspector agreed, and pretended to be held as hostage and helped him escape. Frank came to the port to look for the container, but he saw Wall Street and others were preparing to transport the container away. Lai was also taken by his father to the car. At this time Frank's whereabouts were exposed. He took out the thugs, leapt onto the truck but was forced to jump off. The gang immediately chased after him. He smartly kicked off a bucket of oil to lubricate the ground, causing the chasers to slip. He also lubricated himself and used a pair of bike pedals to maintain his stand. With this technique, he easily wiped out the mobs, and escaped from the dock. Then Frank went after the truck again, but his impromptu vehicle broke down. He then hijacked a plane and got on the truck with parachute. He bashed the truck driver out and took control of the steering wheel. However, with Mr. Kwai consistent covering fire, Wall climbed onto the truck and entered the cab. He kicked Frank out of the cab, but Frank survived, barely clinging under the truck. He managed to climb back onto the roof and torpedoed himself back into the cab, throwing Wall off the truck. With the last rival being dealt with, he drove the truck to somewhere quiet, but Mr. Kwai followed him all the way. He asked his subordinates to take his daughter away, and forced Frank to come to the edge of cliff to execute him. A gunshot rang out, but it ended up to be Lai killing her own father and saved Frank. A few moments later, police finally arrived. Lai slowly opened the container. With the refugees teetering out of the container, they were finally safe from the smugglers. That's the end of today's video. If you do enjoy watching it, feel free to leave a like and consider to subscribe to the channel. And I will see you guys in the next one. Abyssal signing out.